Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Third year class MBBS. Hope you all students will be fine. And now we will continue with the rest of the topic part 2 of inflammatory bowel disease. I hope you students have understood the part 1 of inflammatory bowel disease. Now the next category of drug after mesalamine, which is helpful in the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease, they are the corticosteroids. Indication of the corticosteroids: they are useful in treatment of moderate to severe form of inflammatory bowel disease. Corticosteroids are not effective in maintenance of remission in either ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Once remission with corticosteroids had been induced, corticosteroids should be tapered very gradually over many weeks. According to their response to steroids, patients can be divided into three classes. First of all, the patients who respond to steroids. Around about 40% of the patients respond to steroids. And the patients who are dependent on steroids. In these patients, when the steroids are stopped, and again the symptoms of IBD happen to appear. So 30 to 40% of the patients dependent on steroids. And next, the category of next the population which remain unresponsive to steroids. 15 to 20% of the population remain unresponsive to steroids. Next, oral prednisolone 40 to 60 milligram per day for active ulcerative colitis not responding to 5-aminosalicylic acid therapy. Parenteral or IV drugs should be used in most severe disease. Hydrocortisone 300 milligram per day and methylprednisolone 40 to 60 milligram per day. Adverse effects of corticosteroids are weight gain, fat redistribution, hyperglycemia, cataract formation, certain emotional changes, is osteoporosis, and aseptic osteonecrosis of the bone. No, there are certain drugs which should be used in topical form. Topical steroids include enemas. Enemas are useful in patients whose disease is limited to the rectum, in case of proctitis and left colon. Hydrocortisone is available as a retention enema, and the dosage is around about 100 milligram per 60 ml. Usual dose is 162 ml enema per night for 2 to 3 weeks. Hydrocortisone also can be given once or twice daily as a 10% foam suspension. It delivers 80 milligram hydrocortisone per application. Topical steroids, they are useful in patients who have difficulty retaining the enema fluid. So foam suspension should be helpful in case of those patients who have difficulty in retaining the enema. Next, budesonide. It is the synthetic corticosteroid form. It is controlled ileal release preparation. It is equally efficacious to prednisolone for ileocolonic Crohn's disease. Topical potency is 100 to 200 times that of hydrocortisone. Budesonide undergoes extensive first pass metabolism, have only 10% oral bioavailability, and thus it has fewer systemic side effects. Topical therapy, for example enemas and suppositories, also is effective in treating colitis, which is limited to the site of the colon. Dose is 9 milligram per day for 2 to 3 months in mild to moderate Crohn's disease. However, its role in maintenance of remission is not yet determined. So it is not very helpful in maintenance. Next, agents which are used in the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease, which are used especially in case of severe inflammatory bowel disease, moderate to severe cases, when the patients do not respond to either mesalamine and corticosteroids, then certain biological agents are added. If it is immunosuppressive agents are added, if it is impossible to taper corticosteroids or frequent relapses occur, immunomodulating therapy should be considered. Azathioprine and 6-markaptopurine are used due to their steroid sparing or steroid reducing effect. Since approximately 50% of the patients experience adverse effects from corticosteroids. Thiopurine derivatives includes marceptopurine, azathioprine, methotrexate, cyclosporine. Next, azathioprine and 6-marceptopurine. They are purine analogues. Both are prodrugs. Mechanism of action of azathioprine and 6-marceptopurine. They impair pure purine biosynthesis and inhibit the proliferation of cell. They are used in treatment of steroid dependent and steroid resistant cases. They are helpful in maintenance of remission in both ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. They are also helpful in preventing or delaying recurrence of Crohn's disease after surgical resection. And they are also helpful in treatment of fistulas in Crohn's disease. Now the adverse effects of these drugs. Idiosyncratic adverse effects include pancreatitis, fever, rash, arthralgia, nausea, and vomiting. Dose-related side effects: suppression of bone marrow, and elevation of liver enzymes. And serious adverse effects include cholestatic hepatitis, malignancies like non-Hodgkin lymphoma may occur with the use of these drugs. Next drug is methotrexate. Methotrexate mechanism of action is that it impairs DNA synthesis due to dihydrofolate reductase inhibition. And it inhibits the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase. It decreased interleukin-1 production. It is also helpful and useful in maintain remission in Crohn's disease. Response is rapid than that seen with thiopurines. Dose is given by either intramuscular or subcutaneous route. For induction 25 mg per week, and for maintenance 15 mg per week. Adverse effects which may occur with methotrexate include GI toxicity, which include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomatitis, and the adverse effects may be minimized by the concurrent administration of folic acid 5 mg once weekly. Hepatotoxicity may occur with the use of methotrexate, so periodic evaluation of liver enzymes should be done whenever the patients use these drugs. So evaluation of liver enzymes should be done. And leukopenia may occur with the use of this disease, so evaluation of CBC should also be done when the patient used methotrexate. And next adverse effect is pneumonitis may occur. Next drug is cyclosporine. Uses of cyclosporine is used in case of severe ulcerative colitis that has failed to respond adequately to steroids to treat fistula in Crohn's disease. Mechanism of action is that it binds to cyclophilin. It ultimately inhibits activation of T cells and ultimately production of leukin-2. Next, what are the adverse effects of cyclosporine? Hypertension, hypertrichosis, gingival hyperplasia may occur with the use of this drug. Paresthesias, tremors, headaches, nephrotoxicity may also occur, so renal function should be monitored frequently when the patient uses this drug. Seizures may also occur with the use of this drug, and certain opportunistic infections may occur with the use of this drug, as these agents are immunosuppressant agents, so opportunistic infections can occur with the use of these drugs. Next drug is tacrolimus. It is macrolide antibody. Mode of action is similar to cyclosporine. It is effective in adults with steroid refractory ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And as compared to cyclosporine, it is 100 times more potent. And tacrolimus has good oral absorption. Next is tumor necrosis factor inhibitor. Tumor necrosis factor inhibitor they increase production of inflammatory cytokines, especially tumor necrosis factor. Increased production of inflammatory cytokines, especially tumor necrosis factor, has been described in both normal and inflamed mucosa. So tumor necrosis factor inhibitor, they prevent the endogenous cytokine from binding to the cell surface receptor, and they exert biological activity, so they are also called as biological agents. These agents also affect the normal immune response of the patient. First agent or biological agent, this is infliximab. This is IgG1 antibody, immunoglobulin antibody, and its mechanism is that it binds to membrane-bound tumor necrosis factor and causes cell lysis by antibody-dependent or cell-mediated cytotoxicity. Infliximab is effective in Crohn's disease in patients refractory to steroids and thiopurines, and secondly in moderate to severe ulcerative colitis. Dose is around about 55 milligram per kg IV infusion every 8 weeks. Now, the adverse effects of infliximab include acute adverse effects, which include fever, chills, urticaria, or even anaphylaxis. Subacute adverse effects, serum sickness like reaction may occur, and there's increased incidence of respiratory infections like tuberculosis or other granulomatous infections. And it is contraindicated in patients with severe congestive heart failure. And there is possible increased incidence of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, leukemia, and sudden new onset of psoriasis. Psoriasis is basically a disease involving skin. White patches may occur at skin, which is known as psoriasis. Next, adverse effects of infliximab antibody formation may occur with the use of infliximab antibodies developed in 10% of the patients. They may lead to increased risk of infusion reactions and loss of response. Strategies to minimize the development of these antibodies are treatment with glucocorticoids or other immunosuppressive, increasing the dose of infliximab, and decreasing the interval between the infusions. So when decrease the interval between the infusions with the increase in the dose of the infliximab, it may happen that the antibody formation, it may be prevented. Next drug is adalimumab. It is a recombinant human monoclonal immunoglobulin antibody. It binds tumor necrosis factor and neutralizes its function by blocking the interaction between tumor necrosis factor and its cell surface receptor. It should be injected subcutaneously. It is less immunogenic as compared to infliximab, and this drug is also useful in active Crohn's disease and the patients who are refractory to steroids and thiopurines. Now the next drug which is useful in the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease, it is certolizumab, human monoclonal antibody. It does not contain Fc fragment, and its mechanism of action is that it inhibits monocyte cytokine production, inhibits mast cell degranulation. It is effective for induction of clinical response in patients with active inflammatory Crohn's disease. It is less immunogenic than infliximab. It is given mostly by subcutaneous route once monthly. Next category of drug, natalizumab. It is humanized immunoglobulin 4 antibody, which is effective against alpha 4 and integrin. It is approved for induction and maintenance of remission in Crohn's disease, especially for it is useful in patients who are refractory or intolerant to tumor necrosis factor therapy. Adverse effects of natalizumab. So it is mechanism of action is that it is antibody active against integrin. Adverse effect is that it can lead to progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy. Hence, its use is contraindicated with other immunosuppressive drugs. When it is used, the other immunosuppressive drugs should not be used because with the other immunosuppressive agents, it may lead to more harmful effects. Next, drugs, antibiotics can be helpful in the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease. In certain cases, antibiotics or antimicrobials may play a part in the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease. Antibiotics which are helpful are especially metronidazole, ciprofloxacin, and clarithromycin. Ulcerative colitis, antibiotics have no role except in pouchitis, and in Crohn's disease for active inflammatory disease, perianal and fistulizing disease, metronidazole 15 to 20 milligram per kg per day in 3 divided doses, or ciprofloxacin, like 500 milligram BD. So in Crohn disease, they are especially helpful, and their antibiotic treatment are also helpful for preventing post-operative recurrence of the disease. Flunitrazole adverse effects include nausea, metallic taste, peripheral neuropathy. Ciprofloxacin adverse effects includes Achilles tendinitis and rupture of tendons. Next, supportive therapy may also play a role in the treatment of inflammatory bowel disease. Iron, calcium, and vitamin D supplementation given in cases of deficiency of iron, calcium, and vitamin D. Oral folate routinely given to patients receiving 5-amino salicylic acid therapy. Vitamin B12 serum levels measured annually in cases of ileal Crohn's disease. Next, antidiarrheal agents may be useful, and anticholinergic agents may be useful in reducing the frequency of bowel movements, and these agents are also helpful to relieve rectal urgency. They are contraindicated in severe disease or suspected obstruction, can be disposed to toxic megacolon, and salt binders are also helpful in preventing bile salt induced diarrhea in patients with the ileocolic resection. So students, almost lecture is finished. uh, so I will give you the assignment after the lecture, and you have to submit it within the assigned time.